Moving on, if you're buying a new car and if that is what is on your wish list, then get ready to get in the queue. Yes, you heard that right. The car industry is facing an unusual situation as a fallout of the pandemic and the lockdown. Due to the pandemic, people are increasingly preferring to use their own vehicles instead of traveling by public transport. And so the demand for new cars has also spiked up, and car makers are now struggling to keep pace with that demand. This has resulted in people having to wait for months on end to actually get deliveries of their new vehicles.
Car sales generally is gone up by 30% to 40%, sir. And the thing is, the manufacturing side, they could not supply the materials. And we do have lots of orders, and it has come back again, sir, actually. The main cost for the delay is the highest the booking. That's the main cost delay. In Toyota, we do have bookings around 300 to 400 bookings each and every month. That is a major problem of delaying the process.
There was a backlog which piled up, and because of pandemic and because of the kind of protocols to be maintained, public started looking at their own transport, and that was one of the reasons why people started looking at buying cars, and this demand went up drastically in the last few months. Creta has a waiting period somewhere between 2 to 8 to 9 months depending on the model and variants.
My colleague Ayushman Kumar spoke to the Federation of Automobile Dealers president, who attributes this increase in waiting period to a host of issues, including the problems that some car makers face with the supply chain matters, and also the fact that the sales in December saw an unexpected massive spike. Let's listen into that conversation.
So we are seeing a major increase in the waiting period of some models. And obviously, this has started due to the supply chain issues, but now it has increased due to the demand of specific model being new or being very well positioned. The December good sales, we have seen a good tandem in the requirement of vehicles in December, and that has been more than what we have expected, which has increased the waiting period.
My colleague Tanima Vishwas now joins us to help us understand a little bit more with more clarity on why this kind of a long wait. Tanima, at one level, of course, this should have been welcome news that there is a spurt in demand, which means there is some activity in the economy in terms of expenditure, etc. But now comes this whole issue of those wanting to buy a car having to wait for an inordinately long time, depending perhaps on the type of vehicle that you wish to purchase.
That's right. In fact, on one hand, while a boost in terms of auto sales is a good sign for the economy, but on the other hand, we are also seeing that people are actually not really getting their hands on the car just yet. Let's take a look at some of the reasons for that. If you see, one of the reasons is because of the lockdown, the production had come down in most of the car manufacturing companies by 25 to 30% of its capacity. We know that a lot of plants were not able to function at the time. In fact, there were layoffs also in certain areas. So for these many reasons, the production capacity of most of these car companies who are manufacturing in the country had in fact gone down. Besides that, there's a backlog of orders which had kept increasing. Prior to the lockdown period, prior to this entire pandemic phase that we saw, there had been a lot of backlog of orders already, so that needed to be put out first. Next, the manpower was up to 100% only till 2 to 3 months ago. In fact, earlier than that, as we said, for several reasons, whether people were not going back to work in the plants and the factories, whether it was about people not being able to reach in those areas. Because of that reason, the total manpower working in those factories was very low, and it's only around 2 months back that it's back to 100% capacity as of now. The fear of using public transport amidst pandemic is also another reason which has been given. For this, in fact, we can see that there's been a spurt in the number of car sales also, because a lot of people would prefer to now have their own vehicle rather than actually using public vehicles, which are still, whether it is just about using a cab or any other sort of public vehicle for that matter. People would now prefer to use their own vehicles to travel. So that is one reason why there's an increase in demand. And there's also a 30% increase in demand for cars. This in turn, in fact, has led to a 30% increase in demand. And so we can see that on one side, side, while there's been an increase in demand, on the other side, there have been several factors, reasons as to which the car manufacturing companies are still struggling right now. Although it's good news for them that the demand has gone up, but they're still not being able to really deliver to their customers at the moment because of these many reasons that we can see.
Right, and this is something that economists had warned time and again, that in order for the economy to actually now take off, supply chain management, those issues will also have to be sorted simultaneously. Just the rise in demand is not going to help. Thanks for joining us, Tanima.